Oh, hey guys, what's up? Joining you from the kitchen today to show you what we're cooking up here on the Meta Show. We're going to talk to Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG, somebody else I've been talking to on my Instagram page, about his favorite deck, Shaddolls. We're going to jump into the lore of Shaddolls, as well as talk about his build and some other competitive builds of Shaddolls that people have been playing recently. So, to keep track of us, make sure you subscribe to the page, smash that like button if you're enjoying this content, and if Shaddoll is your favorite deck, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what we should change about these builds. I'm by no expert as Shaddoll, by no means, a Shaddoll expert. So please let me know what I should change. Let me know what you like about the deck, what your favorite deck is, and keep track of us for more awesome content like this. But for now, after I eat breakfast, of course, let's jet over to the desk so that way we can talk to Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG about his awesome knowledge about Shaddolls.
Hello, guys. Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Meta Show. Here we're talking to Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG. I don't know what you want to be called on here. That's what you typed in your thing, so that's what I went with.
Yeah. Hey. Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG is fine.
All right. I've met him through my Instagram page, which you guys can check out from my link in my channel, and we're here today to talk about Shaddoll. Shaddoll has kind of a little bit of a cult following, in my opinion. Similar to Sky Strikers, you know, the actual deck sometimes is really good and sometimes is not so good. But there are people who love it through and through. It's a very powerful control deck. And I think today that we want to talk to you. I think you have some interesting insight into some lore, like the story behind the cards, and if you wanted to discuss that, that would be interesting to share with people. I think that's something that not a lot of people get to hear about, that can be kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Shaddoll has one of the bigger cult followings. I think just from having power, I think in like 2016 with the release of Construct, and then it kind of got revitalized with the release of Shaddoll Showdown Structure Deck. So a lot of that's kind of where I'm not an OG, kind of got into it through Shaddoll Showdown. But yeah, I'd love to talk about kind of the lore of Shaddolls. Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore is, I would say Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore is as convoluted as the card game itself. Sometimes I know like Magic the Gathering likes to put out their lore in like flavor text, and they also have like nice books on it. Most of like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore kind of comes from there's these guides. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Guide, but released in Japanese only. So mostly we can only get it through kind of people helping us translate these. So that's where a lot of this lore comes from. But yeah. Shaddoll lore is kind of intertwined with a lot of other archetypes. So there's this kind of world called Dual Terminal, where
did you saw the post I tagged you in? I'm sharing it on my screen now from Ghost.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll pull that up here just as a reference, like if you're watching the video, not just listening along. Hopefully it's following along with what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I looked at this post. It was great post by Ghost Oracles, and I know he's going to go through more of this. So, but yeah, exactly. This is actually a great reference. So, kind of the Shaddoll lore starts with this Naturia sacred tree. I think if you go to the next, So there's this tree in this dual terminal world. And this tree kind of governs the creation and rebirth cycle of everything on this world. The systems that govern it are called like Sephiroth and Quillfoth. So, yes, and then there are two of these kind of executives or gods that are in charge of each system, with Sophia being in charge of the Sephiroth system, and Tiara being in charge of the Quillfoff system. So, being two people, governing this much power, obviously, they end up fighting each other to get control of all the power. And in this case, Sophia ends up winning and seals away Tiara and his system. So she did this by creating a core that seals Tiara within the Naturia sacred tree. So, to prevent this core from being used again, she broke it up into the 10 pieces, which eventually became part of the Gem Knights, another Yu-Gi-Oh archetype. So what happened was, before the Shaddoll lore kind of happened, there was one war between like the Gishkis, Evil Swarm, all these people were a part of it. And at the end, Sophia ended up being awakened and decided to destroy everything on the world. And they teamed up to destroy Sophia. So the two people that ended up inheriting Sophia's power is Constellar Sombre and Evil Swarm Karakion. Yes. So after they kind of inherited this power, they sensed something amiss, because once Sophia was destroyed, Tiara actually got the opportunity to start taking some of the life power that was in her system to redirect it to his system, the Quillfoff system. So those two were like, hey, like, what's going on? So each of them went to kind of check on what was going on. They went to the tree, and Sombre, as you see here, sensed they didn't know about Tiara, so they thought it was actually Sophia planning to revive herself. Right. So his kind of plan to stop them was to take control of this Sephiroth system, and to do this, he needed to create 9 Yang Zin in order to gain control of the system to prevent the rebirth. So if you remember the cores, the 10 cores, Sombre actually created the Yang Zin from these cores. He was given 7 cores from Gem Master Diamond in the previous war, and used that to create 7 of the Yang Zins. And in his previous incarnation, he was also a Gem Knight, or she. So the last core kind of came from her to create 8. But she still needed 1 more in order to succeed in her plan to take control of the system in order to prevent her resurrection.
Gotcha.
Yep. So while Sombre was doing that, Kekion, Evil Swarm Kekion, heard a rumor about Gem Knight Master Diamond being reborn. So he went to investigate on that. Turns out that Gem Knight Master Diamond was, for some reason, reborn as Karagorn, who had the ability to steal people's souls and gain power from that. So they fought, but Karakion didn't want to destroy his former friend, so ended up allowing Karakion to absorb into him. So with Karakion absorbed into, Kekion absorbed into Karagorn, he actually became Shaddoll Core, which is the basis of all Shaddoll cards, kind of where they get their souls from. Gotcha. So Shaddoll Core ended up creating all the other Shaddolls. This includes like Hedgehog, and the big one is Construct. So Shaddolls are actually just souls from the tree. So if you remember, the evil god Tiara was slowly stealing energy from the one system and putting it into his system. The tree actually recognized that there were souls here that didn't belong in its system, so it kicked all those out. And those souls are the Shaddolls. So all these Shaddolls are from previously deceased souls that were supposed to be reincarnated by the tree in their whole system, but got kicked out. So because of this, they have a strong desire to want to return to the tree in order to be revived. So the big kind of Shaddoll created from this, as I mentioned, was Construct. If you've looked at her art, she has all these strings coming out of her back, and those strings are kind of what control the other Shaddoll cards. You can always see like kind of puppet strings coming out of other Shaddoll card art.
You can see them on Hedgehog here.
Exactly. So they're just kind of reanimated puppet bodies controlled by Construct. Yeah, kind of wacky. But so they all go to attack this tree again because they want to be reincarnated. So Sombre learns about this and takes his 8 Yang Zins that he created earlier to go and stop them. So I think this is where Ghost Oracle card ends his first part. But as he mentioned, the Yang Zins kind of get beaten down by the Shaddolls. And they end up losing 2 of their newly formed Yang Zins to the Shaddolls. Suwani, the fire one, gets converted into Shaddoll Dragon. And then Pulau. And then Pulau gets converted into Winda's El Shaddoll Windia's mount.
This guy.
Yep.
Which you can see, in this picture. I don't know what this art is particularly from.
It's from the card Sinister Shadow Games.
Oh, yep.
It's a trap card.
Yep.
But yep.
So you can see them there, and then also here.
Yeah, they become these puppet dragons, which I think is like thematically, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
To see like these like dragons become, or these previous living creatures become just puppets.
Yeah, and like I feel, I'm not like a super hardcore anime fan, but I enjoy watching anime, and like I feel like I do miss that part of this a little bit. It's like, you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's the anime of the people playing the card games, but there's not a story behind the cards necessarily themselves.
Exactly.
Or archetypes.
Yeah.
And I think that, like a story like this that connects a whole bunch of archetypes and also connects, cards in its own archetype is very interesting. And I really like, not just the card art, but some of the fan art around Shaddolls is really awesome. I really like the purple and the, the bright strings and stuff like that. Really makes for some cool looking art.
Absolutely amazing.
Yep. So now that we have a background on, Shaddolls in general, like where do they come from and what some of the cards are, I have your deck profile here on Edo Pro. I can share that. And it's a pretty straightforward, pure variant of a Shaddoll deck. But I was just wondering, I assume that you play it, frequently, since you like Shaddolls. But I just didn't know, what some of your options were. I see here that you play Mathematician. You also play 3 Kaijus as well as the Kaiju spell.
Yes.
Is that just to get around Dragoon?
Partially to get around Dragoon. I would also say, just to preface it, this is by no means anywhere near like a competitive deck.
Well, Shaddoll isn't competitive right now.
Right,
so
right.
It's just for fun anyway.
Just for fun, yeah. So kind of just, I like to build a lot of decks. So I try to keep my decks within kind of like a budget. So a lot of my deck building ideas, I would say most of my decks are definitely under 100. So a lot of it comes from that. And then I also like to keep my archetypes my decks as pure as possible. So I don't like to mix in maybe like I know Invoke Shaddolls is very powerful. Well,
Yeah,
was very
I have.
powerful. Or Eldritch, yeah.
So the big thing right now is let's slam Invoked Dogmatica to Shaddoll all together all at once,
Exactly.
and you get something like this, which is more competitive, but has a lot of other stuff going on. If you really just like the Shaddolls, then you probably don't really want to do that. Now this was a pure Shaddoll from back in March that topped some tournament. I don't remember what tournament. But it's pretty similar to yours. It has the Mathematician and the Damage Juggler.
Right.
But we'll go back to your build here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few pure Shaddoll builds I do see. I do enjoy, just keeping it archetypes the same. I don't like to mash too many things in there.
Now, another card that has come out since the release of the structure deck in support of Shaddolls is Shaddoll Schism, which the list from March doesn't have it. But if you were going to look at like the Dogmatica or the Invoked, a lot of Shaddolls deck now play it. But I think it's going for like something like $10 a copy. So I didn't know if it was just a budget thing that you didn't have it in here, or if it just doesn't fit well with the strategy that you're going for, or something like that.
I think I might have sent you maybe a more outdated list. Schism for sure is I think must have for Shaddolls. I think I ended up removing Insta Fusion for Schism, actually.
Yeah, I noticed that you had Instant Fusion, but I was trying to figure out what is the target, just a window, like if you don't have anything else just to help OTK or something.
Yeah, I think that's why I ended up removing kind of Insta Fusion. I didn't see it as very helpful, other than just getting out a window and then maybe fusing it away to get advantage off of the second effect. And potentially help with OTK. So from like what I've been seeing is that Shaddolls it's like very powerful control deck. You're able to go first with it, with Winda being able to just completely stop your opponents from doing anything. Because I would say today, if you have just one special summon, I don't know what you're going to do with that.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, play one and pass. But I also saw that a lot of Shaddoll cards or related cards like Super Poly are more powerful going second. So, for example, like Shaddoll Fusion, if your opponent has any monster summon from the extra deck, you can actually fusion summon using any card in your deck instead of just from your hand, which is insane in card advantage in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that's why Red Eye's Fusion is so overpowered, is because there's not even a a requirement that your opponent has to have monsters. It's just activate Red Eye's Fusion, special summon Dragoon from your deck,
win game.
Win game. I mean, it does say that you can't special summon for the rest of the turn, but like you just do it. I mean, so if you activate Red Eye's Fusion from hand, you can't special summon at all that turn other than that.
Correct.
But if you do it through Anaconda, you just can't special summon after that because of the way Anaconda is written. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. The point is that Shaddoll Fusion is overpowered and is even better going second.
With those thoughts in mind, I built kind of a going second Shaddoll deck. I saw that it benefited Fusion, and Super Poly is also very powerful going second, of course. So with that in mind, I threw in the Kaijus, since they also help with going second. So I chose 2 light Kaijus because they do synergize well with Super Poly.
Yeah,
you can actually remove them. You can remove them very easily. So Gamma Seal was always I was kind of teetering between it and whether I wanted a 3rd light Kaiju or Gamma Seal, because sometimes you don't get Super Poly and it is a little difficult to remove higher attack point Kaijus.
Yeah.
So with the 2200, and also with Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, you can always summon Gamma Seal to their field and take the higher attack point one for yourself.
Yep.
I would say the strongest kind of going second combo, it's like a 1-card combo you can do with Shaddoll Fusion, which revolves around Cross Sheep. So you can use Shaddoll Fusion, assuming they have a extra. I would hope that in 2021 now, I guess, that they would have some kind of extra deck monster on their field.
I don't know hardly anybody that's not playing extra deck.
Yeah, exactly. But with Shaddoll Fusion, you can fuse your Perform Mage Trick Clown and then Wendy to summon Construct. So that will give you 3 effects. Construct being able to send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. Wendy being able to summon a Shaddoll card face down in defense. And then Trick Clown can summon itself with 0 attack, but you take 1,000 damage. So with that, you can summon back Trick Clown, have Ariel face down in defense mode, and then send the Resh Shaddoll trap card, the one that
Incarnation.
Banishes. Yes, Incarnation. Forgot its name. But yeah, so with that, you can kind of set up to go into Boral Sword OTK by link summoning your. So you link summon Cross Sheep with your Trick Clown and Construct. Then you can activate Incarnation from the grave to banish Construct and flip Ariel to face up defense. Which then lets you special summon the Construct from the banish pile into one of the link arrows that Cross Sheep points to. So then Construct, for some reason not being once per turn, you can send another Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. So options vary. You could send Beast to get just extra card draw. Or Hedgehog to add a Shaddoll monster to your hand. Or you can go into, you could send Schism, sorry, the English name Schism, or just kind of anything you want with that. But more importantly, Cross Sheep gives you extra summon from your graveyard. You can summon a level 4 or lower if you summon a fusion type to where it points to. So you can summon back maybe Wendy off of that. So from there, I think depending on what you need, I include Boral Load and Boral Sword. Boral Load maybe for removal of something that can't be destroyed.
Well, and these are your budget options, right?
Correct.
So like if you had the budget, I'm sure that one of these would be access code.
Absolutely.
But I don't know anybody that wants to spend $100 on access code.
Absolutely.
$80 or whatever it is. It's more than $50, and that even $50 seems like a lot to spend on a card to me, but I'm not a competitive player, so
yes. For a fully competitive Shaddoll deck, I would absolutely go with Access Code Talker. But I think I build too many decks to be spending that much on one card.
Yeah, I mean, so I was looking, my in real life decks, I only have one set of like the staples, and then I just take those play sets and move them from deck to deck.
Makes sense.
And then, and I don't have all the staples. So, and I have like placeholders of some and stuff like that, because I'm not going to spend $100 on tactics and stuff like that.
More than once. Absolutely.
So, but what I do like to do is I like to try to make as like a competitive as I can version of the deck on here, and especially, I mean, you've seen the decks that I share on my Instagram page, and if you guys haven't seen them, you should check them out. I think they're pretty nice. I like the way they're formatted. I don't know what you think of them, but
of them, of course.
Oh, thank you. But I just posted my Shaddoll deck here recently, Where is it? And it's a Trickstar variant, not it doesn't use the Perform Age Trick Clown or the Damage Juggler. It uses Corbane and Candina and Light Stage as your light engine. And the nice thing about these is just like the damage you can get from Corbane is nice. And they're with this many in here, you're pretty frequently going to see them. Because you could basically any of these 7 cards is a monster, because this gets you Light Stage, and Light Stage gets you a Trickstar monster, and then that can be summoned. But basically the Shaddoll engine is basically the same. Now I did start from I think Cali Effects build that I watched recently, and I go back and forth on Chaos because he's really not very good, but he's a light monster and he's searchable, and he's a searchable Shaddoll monster. So like if you draw Dogdra and you're in a pinch and you brick other than this card, you can normal summon him, activate his effect, pay 3,000 life points, send Apclone to the grave, and then add 1 Shaddoll card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Now you're not necessarily going to add Chaos, but it's just a light option to search off of that, or off of other cards like Squamata. Is that the one that searches?
It sends any Shaddoll to the grave.
So from that standpoint, it's okay. Realistically, I don't necessarily like it. I think that's one change I would make. Another change that somebody suggested on my Instagram page was get rid of terraforming. What was it? Get rid of terraforming. Cut these down so there's fewer of them. Add another aerial, and add another schism, I think they suggested. And that all made sense to me. I think the biggest thing with Schism and Incarnation is if you do the combo, after you do the combo, you're probably not going to do the combo twice.
Yeah. It's a one-time thing, kind of.
Yeah. And it's like you said, you set it up, in here, in real life, I can't afford access code talker, but in here, I include it. And that's your OTK engine then, is you do the combo, get access code out. If you do the combo right, also you could get your Schism in hand or on board for your opponent's turn. You activate that, summon Winda, and then that's your floodgate too. So
it's a very powerful combo with that.
Yeah. The only other things in here that not a lot of people are running is I included the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon because Super Poly's so strong, and a lot of right now with the meta, it's not great because Drytrons and Virtual Worlds are not dark.
Yes.
But before this meta, before this format, before Drytrons were released, and kind of before Virtual Worlds, everything was dark. Dragon Link's all dark.
Right.
So that's not a bad play. And then the other thing is the Thousand Eyes Restrict and the Instant Fusion. So you use the Instant Fusion and do Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then equip one of your opponent's monsters. Now, if you don't feel like doing that or don't want to do that, you still have Winda as a target. So I don't feel bad having that spot in there just for that, since there's another target.
Right, that makes sense. With Thousand Eye Restrict, yeah, definitely makes sense to have Instant Fusion. Gives you more options. Kalios, I have the same kind of dilemma. I hate the card. I'm like, why are you light? Why didn't they give the light to some other card?
Yeah, could you imagine if Shaddoll Beast was light? That would play 3.
Yeah, instantly, without a question. But unfortunately, stuck with Kalios. I decided not to keep him in. I just hate him. It just hurts to play him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other options you could play. You could play other Shaddoll monsters. You could play. There's so many things. You could play another Schism. You could play, another Dogra if you really wanted another one. I don't think that you need to play more than 2. These are if you're in a pinch. These are to get you into your Shaddoll plays when you don't draw any Shaddolls.
Yeah. I think also, I really like I never thought about the Trickstar. It's a very interesting engine to put in, and instead of the perform mage damage, which I think this works very well as well.
Yeah, it works pretty well. I think the Damage Juggler and Trick Clown engine's a little bit more popular because Trick Clown can revive itself a little better, so it's a little like it's extra resources for when you're trying to link climb and stuff.
Yes.
But I think that in general, since you don't have to, what is it? There's something with Corvain, I think. Yeah, if you control the monsters, you can special summon it from your hand. So that's nice. You don't have to use your normal summon.
Right.
You can also send this card from your hand to the graveyard. That monster you control gains attack equal to this card's original attack until the end of this turn. So if you draw 2 Corvain, you could end up with a 4,000 attack monster in the battle phase if you really ended up there. Or even with the Candina, it has 1,800 attack, level 4, so you can normal summon it and then add another Trickstar card from your deck to your hand, and you could add Corvain and then dump Corvain and have a 3,800 attack Candina. Even if you don't do any Shaddoll plays at all, and you draw 1 Candina, you can maybe do something.
Yes, I definitely see that. Big beatdown for sure. And
you essentially have 5 of those because Light Stage gets you into Candina and Terraforming gets you into Candina. But the other thing with Light Stage is everybody uses it to search your monsters, but it also has a pretty decent effect. And the Shaddolls don't really play a field card or a field spell anyway. So having that in there as your field spell slot isn't terrible.
Yeah, the effect is very powerful actually. Being able to kind of stop some back row, which I think Shaddolls, other than Dragon, doesn't really have much back row removal.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I don't, for the sake of these videos, I don't include a side deck, and for the sake of showing decks, I don't include a side deck because they're so dependent on what other decks you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
But your biggest side deck options for back row are Lightning Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster. The pretty standard stuff. So if you're getting destroyed by a back row deck or one of these trap based decks or something, you could always side out, your hand traps or the super poly lineup for back row removal.
Yes, agreed.
So
side Harpies with Harpy's Feather Duster. It's probably the go-to removal. You don't really need too much else.
Nope.
But, yeah. I also think just from playing Shaddolls, I've seen I don't know if what you think about this, but I've seen that the biggest bricks are always when you don't get any of your fusion monsters. Not fusion monsters, your fusion spells cards. Because you really can't do anything with that. So that's why I opted to go into I have 3 math mechs in mine.
Yeah.
Because so the math mechs, this is obviously a very desperate. I would not do this as my first choice move, but with math mechs, you can always send your perform mage damage juggler to the damage trick clown to the graveyard, summon itself back to go into Verte Anaconda, and then at least be able to get maybe a Winda or Construct something out. Because if you have no fusion, it's just there's not much you can do.
No. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's just, I know a lot of the decks play the Mathematician. The only reason I went with the Dogra instead of the Mathematician, it's basically the same play as what you just said, except instead of going Mathematician, dump Trick Clown, revive Trick Clown, spend 1,000 life points, summon Anaconda. What's Anaconda's cost? 2,000 life
2,000.
points. Spend
Yes.
2,000 life points. So at that point, you're down 3,000 life points, and you'll fusion summon a monster out. But even so, say you go Predaplant Anaconda into Shaddoll Fusion, and you drew the absolute bricks, and you can't, like, say that your opponent doesn't have a special summon monster out, or you're going first, like, you still can't summon from the deck then. Like,
Right.
with Red Eyes Fusion, you're set because you can summon from the deck. But so the thought with Dogdra is that I can dump App Clone and get any Shaddoll card. So
Right,
I could get whatever Shaddoll card I need to do whatever I need to do. Theoretically. Obviously, you're still limited. If you draw the absolute bricks and you get one Dogdra, you're probably not going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting option. And you were talking about hating Invoke Shaddoll because it's expensive and not budget. But I thought I'd pull this one up. This is another one I grabbed from the internet that's topped some tournament that I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I have a small invocation engine, and I only have one invocation though, which is the expensive part of that set. And it's fun, adds extra fusion monsters that you can go into, like Purgatrio, Caliga, and Mechaba, and adds, another level of control to the deck. But it's one of those things that's like Construct and Winda on their own are pretty good control mechanisms. And you can add other control mechanisms to this deck that aren't invoked. I think invoked is just so consistent that that's what most people go to. Plus, invocation doesn't have to. You don't have to fusion summon an invoked monster with invocation.
Right.
It's just a fusion card. So that's pretty powerful as far as, like, if you decided to do that and go into Construct to do the rest of your play, you can do that.
Yeah. I think the Invoke engine goes super well with Shaddoll.
Mm-hmm.
They just work, and especially since the invoked fusion cards are also very control based. I wouldn't hate on them. I don't hate on them, but they are. It is like a very powerful. I think it was meta for a decent amount of time.
Yeah. So I started back up playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the spring when COVID kind of hit the United States and everything locked down, because I needed something I could, do at my house by myself.
Right.
So I picked Yu-Gi-Oh! Back up, and at that time it was Dragon Link, Shaddoll, and Salamangreat were the decks to play.
Exactly.
So I went out and I picked up Dragon Link, Shaddoll, and Salamangreat. I always liked dragons, so I gravitated towards the Dragon Link. I like Shaddoll second most, and then for some reason I never really got into Salamangreat. I still have the deck, but just not my thing. It's strong. I don't know. It's something about half doing a combo but not ending on what's the point in doing a combo and ending on a board that isn't full of negates and doesn't have that strong of an effect.
Right.
It's kind of in the middle.
You generally end on just Wolf, right? Sunlight Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf and one of the trap cards or something, and then Balinks in the graveyard, which is another negate. But I mean, and that's usually enough to stall and then go into an OTK play with Transcode Talker, Update Jammer, or Access Code Talker or whatever. But I mean, and again, in this deck I grabbed from earlier before Schism was released, so Schism isn't even included on this list. And I've noticed a lot. I'll pull up this list with it's Invoke Dogmatica Shaddoll just as just a reference. But what I've noticed, the biggest pattern right now is actually to take the Dogmatica engine and slam Schism in there and put Winda in the extra deck and maybe Construct in the extra deck. And then there's a play where you don't really have to play Shaddolls and you can still end on a board with Winda to block your opponent from special summoning.
Right.
I forget exactly what the combo is, but basically you get to play one of the strongest engines right now, which is the Dogmatica engine, and then play essentially, it's like 3 or 4 extra cards because it's the Winda, the Construct, the Schism, and you might have to play Incarnation. No, they don't play it in this deck at all. They just play the Schism. And you get all the benefits of Dogmatica, plus you get the Floodgate from Winda. So that's, I mean, I think Shaddoll cards in general are still relevant in the meta. The deck itself just isn't super relevant.
Agreed. I think the components are used a lot, especially here. With Dogmatica, the synergy is ridiculous, right? Just because Shaddoll fusions, when you send them to the graveyard, they pop an effect, which Dogmatica cards there's that one that sends from yours and your opponent's. I forgot which one. Yeah.
This one.
Yes. So you get the effect of Winda or Construct, and I think there's some way you can dump Schism into the grave that just lets you bring it back, or fusion, whatever you want. Right?
I think, I'm trying to remember what the combo is. I'm gonna have to look it up later, because it's something along the lines of dump Construct, and then special summon Construct back, and then when you summon Construct, you can dump Schism, and then you can get Schism back.
Right.
But I forget. For Winda. But I forget what the mechanism is for getting Construct from the grave onto the field. And I would suspect that it has something to do with the Dogmatica cards, which I don't know a whole lot about at this point.
I've seen it like once or twice, but I don't remember exactly.
Probably going to do a Dogmatica video with Ghost, so...
Oh, excited for that.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. He's a pretty... He likes his Dogmatica cards. He likes them as much as you like Shaddoll, so...
Oh, really?
He knows his Dogmatica cards. That's his go-to meta deck right now.
That's a strong deck.
Invoked Dogmatica, yeah, it is. It's a scary control deck.
Yeah,
I know a couple of the Drytron players, because I'm building a Drytron deck right now. Play Nova, Mechaba, and Elder Entis in their extra deck, just so if a Dogmatica player Maximuses them, they can send Nova and Entis to the graveyard, and then they can special summon Mechaba from the Nova, and they can get the draw from Entis.
Some spicy stuff there.
I mean, it's smart if you're playing against Dogmatica, but if you're playing any other deck, then those two spots basically become irrelevant.
Yeah. That's true. I think it's always interesting to see the meta shift. I know it's kind of went from kind of more combo oriented to very controlled type meta. Unfortunately, Shaddolls is not directly in that control meta anymore. But
well, it's crazy to me. The meta shifted fast. Like it was combo heavy for a while, and then everybody was calling, especially for Dragon Link, they were like, oh, ban LP and limit quick launch and limit rocket tracer and this, that, and the other thing, and Dragon Link needs hit and it needs controlled. And instead of doing that, Konami releases a very good control deck that says, screw you combo players, here's Vanity's Fiend and 5 negates. So
good luck.
They didn't need to limit anything from Dragon Link because the meta shift did it itself. And I find that very, very interesting. I think I want to say that it was good product release, like well-scheduled product release, and they kind of planned for that to happen. But I don't know that Konami ever plans that far in advance.
I'm not sure if they plan at all. Yeah. Crazy shift just from, 30 moves a turn to you don't get to play. I play. Yeah.
Yep.
But that's Yu-Gi-Oh for you. I think
Yep.
the meta is always shifting. It keeps it, new, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
A couple months could be something else.
Oh yeah. That I like that about the game, and that's something. As a kid, I liked Pokemon too. I don't really play the card game at all now. But the thing that I find interesting between Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon is that Yu-Gi-Oh has a running card list. So, you can play any cards that were ever released ever.
Right.
And that's why we get power creep when cards are released. But it also means that Konami can just spontaneously reinvigorate archetypes and make certain decks relevant again. With Pokemon, since you can only play certain sets at certain times, not all the cards are relevant, and it makes it so it fixes some of the power creep issues, but it makes it so they can't really go back and say, oh, that Charizard that's worth $1 million, that's going to be the focus of our strategy now. They have to keep releasing new stuff. And both ways have their pluses and minuses, but overall I like the ability to just be like, here's this obscure card from 12 years ago, and somebody's like, I didn't even know that card existed.
Well, it's meta now, so you're gonna have to learn soon.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I do really like that about Yu-Gi-Oh. There's so much exploration you can do just because of they never rotate any cards out, so infinite ideas can be formed from all the cards. But it's very difficult to balance because of that, I think. Just anything could trigger a catalyst for the next infinite hand loop FTK deck. You never know.
Yep, as soon as somebody figures some tricky shit out, everybody jumps on it. It takes one person figuring out some cheeky thing. My cat really wants to join us.
Oh.
There he is.
What's his name?
Melly.
Very
Melly.
Cute.
Little orange creature.
Melly is a big Yu-Gi-Oh player too. I'm pretty sure I saw one Instagram post calling me a third-rate duelist by Melly. No?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, he has some memes up there.
Oh yeah.
He's a cheeky little guy. Likes to attack my feet.
Oh.
But I feed him anyway. All right. Well, it's getting to be dinner time. I will let you go. Is there anything else you'd like to add on here at the end? Anything you'd like to say about your favorite deck before we close it out?
Konami, can I get some more support, please? I think that's what everybody wants to say about their favorite deck.
If you were to ask for support, what type of support would you want? Are you looking for a new fusion spell card? Are you looking for a new monster? Are you looking for an OTK type card or something?
Interesting question. I think honestly, the engine is pretty solid. I don't really have any issues in that sense, but I would say I think the best thing to ask for would be just more searchers.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe a light searcher, so I don't have to look at Kelios anymore and wonder if I should be putting it in my deck. But, yeah.
It'd be cool if there was it doesn't even have to be that strong of a monster, but a light Shaddoll monster that maybe its flip effect is search one Shaddoll fusion card, and then its graveyard effect is search one Shaddoll trap card or something. I don't know if I'm sure one of the cards is like that, but
I think, if I remember, I think Hedgehog might be flip for a spell or trap.
yep.
I think like if they had that, but like on the send to the graveyard, that would be.
So what if Hedgehog's effect was flipped?
Yeah.
So if the flip effect added a monster, and the graveyard effect added a spell or trap.
Yeah, I think I would probably like that more. I think that would be stronger. That's why I like it more. But
Yeah,
something like that would be cool.
Yeah, something to chew on, something to pray for.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see.
All right. Well, I'll sign off here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me and talking about your favorite deck.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, YouTube. Make sure you leave a like below and subscribe to the page if you like this content. If you're going to keep following along with these posts, give us a subscription so that way you can keep track. Also below are various links for merch, gaming accessories, my Instagram page, Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG's Instagram page. Make sure you check him out. You don't have a YouTube, do you?
No.
No? Yeah.
No.
So check out his Instagram. He posts some fun stuff on there. And make sure you keep following along. Make sure you are catching all these awesome podcast-style videos. I think that it's been a lot of fun. I think that it'll continue to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
We're back over from the desk after talking to you, JPEG. Thanks for checking out the video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you leave a like below and also subscribe to the page for more to come. Yet again, there's the cat. So please follow along with us as we continue to build up some material like this for you guys, some awesome content coming. Make sure you check out the links below for my Instagram page as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! JPEG's Instagram page. Also for merch, for gaming accessories. If you want any of these cards, you can check out my TCG Player affiliate link. All of these links that you can follow get you what you want and support the page at no additional cost to you. So please check them out. It means a lot to me. Make sure that I know that I'm doing things right and makes it so that way I can keep providing you awesome content. It makes it worth it for me to give you stuff that's worth it for you, if that makes sense. But please check them out. Leave a like, subscribe to the page. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Meta Show.
Yup.